Before I go into this, I just wanted to point out first and foremost that my memories of this whole thing are a bit fuzzy. And I think that might be a good thing, as I was 15 years old when this went down. Shaun Brittain is a 33-year-old Korean-American autistic man who lives with his parents in Indiana and has a hobby of making videos on YouTube primarily based off of two children's properties. Those properties in question are My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. With two properties like that, and being an active but smaller member in both properties' fan bases full of adults, he was infamous mostly in the Thomas community for the videos that he would produce for 11 years on different YouTube channels that were either terminated due to copyright infringement or deleted by him or his parents. The plots of the videos themselves were episodes of shows based off of the characters that he would make up in his head, and each episode would follow a similar format. A character from MLP would have a problem, a Thomas character would help them, and the ending would be the MLP character kissing the Thomas character on the cheek. At face value, it would have been easy to criticize Shaun for being lazy and nothing else, but behind the scenes though, things were a lot more complicated than they should have been. One of his co-actors in his videos named Brandon Poley, who I'm acquainted with because of a friend of mine, came to the two of us and told us what Shaun was really like behind the scenes. When Brandon was working with Shaun, he had decided to write some scripts for him to use for any future episodes that he would make because the writing of his videos had been piss poor, for lack of a better term. Shaun had kept promising to use at least a few of the scripts that were written, but instead he stuck to placing Thomas and a number of characters from My Little Pony into different scenarios for the episodes, always becoming overconfident and believing everything would be fine. And his reaction to being called into the carpet was, "It's my show, I'll do what I like." Another thing that Brandon told me that had really pissed me off was when he had gotten a cold and he couldn't do some lines for Shaun, as he had done the voices for most of the male characters aside from Thomas and the Fat Controller, and Shaun had threatened to fire Brandon from his show if he didn't get his lines done. Hence why he would often make those videos asking people to audition as his characters. The same could be said for his actress, Superdog Lover 1, since he kept making videos looking for a new actress with the horses. This had all come to a boiling point when Shaun kept copying the stories that various people in the Thomas community had written for themselves and their own series. And it was where I had started playing an active role in getting people to see how delusional of a man he was. In the comment sections of his videos, I had started going off at him, furious about how he treated Brandon, and each time I would do that, his parents would protect him by deleting my comments or any comments that would count as valid criticisms towards his content. Now, I'm sorry if you were expecting something creepy to have happened at this point, but even though my memories of this whole thing are a bit fuzzy 7 years later, thinking back to this part of it makes my skin crawl. On the channel that I did this on, Shaun's last video before the channel was deleted was a live stream that involved him sitting in his bedroom full of Thomas toys, My Little Pony toys, Mario toys, and Littlest Pet Shop toys. He was using his phone to film the live stream and there was no sound on the live stream whatsoever. I decided out of curiosity to type into his chat, "Yo, your audio isn't working, mate." And the minute that he read my comment in the chat, he got up and he started having a meltdown on camera, screaming at the camera for a minute more before walking over to the wall. He smashed his head against the wall 10 times, knocking his toys off of his drawer. After the 10th time, he stopped and he fell to the ground. The last thing I saw before I clicked off the video in shock was his mother barge into the room and scream in horror at the sight of Shaun laying on the floor with a huge hole in the wall. After this had happened, I didn't share it with anyone until today. There's no screenshots, there's no screen recording of the live stream, unfortunately, because I was 15 years old when this happened, and it never occurred to my 15-year-old brain to take screenshots as evidence. Luckily for me, however, Shaun had recovered from this incident, and to this day, he still does content on YouTube. There isn't much that's new with it aside from him cutting off the act of the MLP characters kissing the Thomas characters on the cheek. And as far as I'm concerned, it's harmless enough. But if he's still as demanding as he was when he was with Brandon, then it's out of my hands now. Someone else can put up with that shit for all I care.